From one culinary powerhouse to another, we're leaving France to head over to Japan. Our next guest is Tobai Sadayoshi, Conservation Director at WWF Japan. He is also head of WWF Japan's Marine Program and the coordinator for the Yellow Sea Ecoregion Planning Program, committed to protecting the biodiversity and fishery resources of China's Yellow Sea. Tobai, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me today on this very special day.
We're very glad that you're participating and helping us spread the word. So we've worked here at Global Footprint Network, we've worked with WWF Japan for a long, long time, and it has been an extraordinary partnership. So obviously this has been part of the vocabulary and part of the reports, and most recently has gotten more national progress. But I don't want to tell about that. I'm going to let you do that. So what does Earth Overshoot Day mean to you and the work that you do?
It is a very special day, as I said, and that is because globally speaking, yes, today is the date where we are overshooting the use of renewable resources. But we, people in Japan, have already passed that overshoot day back in May. That was a 10th. So it's like 3 months earlier. What does that tell us? What does that tell Japanese people? We are using much faster, much more than the Earth can replenish. And the next question is that really fair for us to use so much faster than the world global average? And then it also means that how much more we need to be doing, as our colleague in China said, we need to be doing it not just now, but we need to be doing it faster and higher so that we actually move the date.
That's extraordinary. So I know you guys have all sorts of initiatives right now, but could you identify one that you're really excited about to move the date?
Right. There's one really exciting big movement happening in Japan, and it's called the Japan Climate Initiative. Now, everyone who had a chance to look at the ecological footprint knows that a carbon footprint is the single biggest, fastest growing footprint across the globe. Japan is one of the largest countries that emits carbon dioxide. But so that it really means that we need to be playing a bigger role, and more than 100 companies, local governments, research institutes, consumer groups, NGOs got together to launch this Japan Climate Initiative last month. What this big group is trying to do, and I hope it will be happening in the coming 6 months' time, 12 months' time, is to really have a snowball effect of gathering even bigger number of leading companies who has a vision to achieve the Paris Agreement, which is really to move towards a zero carbon society as fast as possible through innovations and all sorts of shared knowledge within Japan and hopefully across these network of non-state actors. So that what this group is trying to do is, one thing is to have a dialogue with the Japanese government so that Japanese government sets its climate target much, much higher so that we move towards the zero carbon society much faster.
That's fantastic. I think it's really powerful to see how companies and governments and NGOs are all working together there to achieve the same dream. And I think that's the way that we can see acceleration.
Right.
So,
yep.
Definitely. So my last question then for you is there an issue or a challenge that you would most like to see movement on, something that you would like to see addressed 1 year from now? What would that be?
Right. Yeah. Carbon footprint is one of the biggest ones, but I think we need to be mindful that there are other critical footprint that goes beyond the Earth's limit. And to us, it is the deforestation, loss of forest. And one of the major drivers for this disappearing forest is the production of natural rubber. And globally speaking, 70%, 80% of those natural rubber is being used to produce essential device in our society here in Japan, but global, which is tires. Without tires, there's no mobility in society, so we need it. But we need to stop deforestation. So leading car companies, as well as leading tire companies, are talking to each other how we can stop and reverse this trend of losing forest. Now, they are trying to form this a platform of a best practice, a implementation platform, so that they will be devising ways to reduce deforestation. They will be reaching out to smallholders who needed to cut forest beforehand, but with the technical help, maybe they will be producing more natural rubber without touching virgin forest, without expanding horizontally their plantations, so that natural rubber goes hand in hand with the reduction in forest footprint.
That's such an interesting synergy of different parts of the sustainability movement, bringing together car manufacturers and tire manufacturers and those who are trying to protect our forests, and seeing where you can find those synergies. Tobai, it is such a pleasure speaking with you, and we are so glad you are partners to help us move the date.
Move the date.